welcome to your Bangla City SATV News. This is Nahin Tahir with the headlines. 28 crew members of Bangladeshi vessel Bangla Samiti came under attack in Ukraine port returned home today. 3 schoolgirls were crushed to death under the wheels of train at Bijaypur rail crossing in Kumilla. Bangladesh and UAE have signed 4 memorandum of understanding to boost cooperation between two countries. "28 crew members of Bangladeshi vessel Bangla Samiti, which came under a Russian missile attack at a Ukrainian port, returned home today. A flight of Turkish airline carrying the crew reached Hazrat Shah Jalal International Airport at around 12 noon. Earlier, they departed from Romanian capital Bucharest on Tuesday and later took a transit in Turkey, said General Manager of Bangladesh Shipping Corporation. The body of the ill-fated third engineer Hatsidur Rahman has been kept at the hospital in Ukraine. Process is underway to send the body to the country. 3 female girl students were crushed to death under the wheels of a train at Bijaypur rail crossing of Kumilla Shodor South Upazila today. The deceased were students of Bijaypur High School. The Mymensingh-bound train of Mahanagar Express from Dhaka hit the students, leaving them dead on the spot, said the police of Laksham Railway Police Station. The train communication between Dhaka and Chittagong remains suspended following the accident. Meanwhile, agitated people in the area have blocked Kumilla-Noakhali Regional Highway after the accident. Bangladesh and United Arab Emirates today have signed 4 memorandum of understanding to boost cooperation between the two countries. The instruments were signed following a bilateral meeting between Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and UAE Vice President and Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. Foreign Minister Dr. A.K. Abdul Momen briefed reporters after the meeting. The signed memorandums were exchanged between the two sides in presence of the two leaders. The Election Commission is going to sit in a continuous discourse ahead of the next parliamentary elections. As a part of this, the Commission, headed by the Chief Election Commissioner Qazi Habibul Awal, will hold its first discourse with academics next Sunday. According to the EC's initial plan, a discourse will be held once a week. EC source said that a letter has already been sent inviting for the meeting. 30 teachers are to join in the first discourse. The Commission also plans to hold meetings with intellectuals, election observers, journalists, and registered political parties in the future. Viewers, we are taking a short break. Stay with your Bangla City SATV News. Welcome back, and you're watching your Bangla City SATV News. Let's take a look at what's going on in and around the world. A suicide bomber struck along the route of President Arif Alvi's motorcade in CBE in Balochistan in Pakistan, claiming the lives of 6 security personnel and leaving 22 injured, including 19 law enforcers. This is the second major suicide attack in the country within a week, as a deadly assault inside a Peshawar mosque last Friday had claimed 62 lives and injured 189 others. The suicide bomber blew himself up near a government rest house on Jail Road after the motorcade of President Alvi and other VIPs had passed through the area on their return from concluding ceremony of the annual CB festival held at CB Stadium, said officials. A few hours after the US announced new economic sanction against Russia for invading Ukraine, Moscow responded with sanction of its own. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Tuesday said they too would ban the export of certain commodities and raw materials. Details on exactly which product will be banned have not yet been revealed, but they will be announced in the next 2 days. Dalia Nilofer has the details.
Following Biden's announcement, the UK proposed...
The US said earlier on Tuesday that it would ban imports of Russian oil, natural gas and coal in a bid to deprive Russia of economic resources as war in Ukraine rages. It means that Russian oil will no longer be acceptable at US ports, and the American people will deal another powerful blow to Putin's war machine. Following Biden's announcement, the UK proposed phasing out Russian oil imports by the end of 2022. The EU also said it would cut Russian oil imports by 2/3.
will suffer from a spike.
Meanwhile, following Russia's tit-for-tat, experts said that households around the world will suffer from a spike in wholesale prices. However, despite the sanctions, Russia has not stepped back from its invasion of Ukraine. Moscow did, however, offer another ceasefire from Wednesday to provide humanitarian corridors for Ukrainian civilians in Kiev and 4 other cities to safely escape. On the 13th day of the conflict, the number of refugees flooding across the Ukrainian border to escape towns devastated by shelling and airstrikes passed 2 million, the UN said. Dalia Nulfer, SATV News Desk.
On International Women's Day, unfortunately for many women around the world, were met with violence. Over in Turkey, riot police clashed with protesters who gathered in Istanbul to celebrate the day as police used pepper spray to disperse a crowd of several thousands in the city centre. Istanbul Governor Office said Monday that it would not allow marches, protesters or press statements to mark the event in the area. However, women still gathered despite the heavy police presence, leading to scuffles and riot police using their shields to push them back. Meanwhile, over in Sudan, protesters used International Women's Day to rally against military rule, and they were met with tear gas as they approached the presidential palace. Women's riot group had called for the protest along with other organizations as they have been holding rallies since the military took power in October. Flood warnings continued across Australia's east coast on Tuesday, with tens of thousands of Sydney's residents fled their homes overnight as torrential rain slammed the region once again. The country's eastern rivers were close to overflowing following record downpours over the recent week, which cuts off towns and swept away farms, livestock and roads. Meanwhile, the death toll from the week-long floods rose to 20 after the bodies of a man and a woman were discovered in floodwaters. The National Weather Bureau warned of a tough 48 hours ahead for Sydney, with 60,000 people subjected to evacuation orders. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said it had successfully put a second military satellite into orbit. The Nur-2 was placed into orbit 500 kilometers above the Earth and follows their first military satellite, which was launched in April 2020. The Nur-1 was placed in orbit 425 kilometers above the Earth's surface. The announcement comes after talks were held in Vienna to revive an agreement reinstating Iran's nuclear program. Experts say putting a second satellite in space would be a major advance for Iran's military, raising concern about the country's nuclear and missile programs. Batgirl and Flash were among thousands of superheroes seen at the 10th edition of the Middle East Film and Comic Convention in Abu Dhabi. Among as the biggest pop culture show in the region, it brought together nearly 22,000 people for the 3-day event. Among the celebrity guests attending the event were Charles Martinet, the voice of Mario in the Super Mario videos game series, as well as actress Ming Na, who voiced Mulan from the animated Disney movie. But most importantly for comic fans, it was a chance to dress up as their favorite characters. Now, stories from sports world. Cricketers will not be allowed to use saliva to shine the ball, but Mankad method of dismissing batters will not be listed under unfair play in the new laws approved by the Melbourne Cricket Club. MCC has today announced its new code of law for 2022, which will come into force from the first day of October. It is noted that cricketers have used the age-old methods of shining one side of the ball with saliva and sweat to help bowlers generate more movement in the air as it travels towards batters. The new laws make permanent a ban on applying saliva to the ball due to health reasons. Moreover, the MCC said it found tough through research that the ban over this period had little or no impact on the amount of swing that bowlers were getting, but polishing the ball with sweat will still be permitted. Before ending, we go through your Bangla City SATV News headlines again. Three crew members of Bangladeshi vessel Bangla Shamidhi came under a missile attack at the Ukrainian port returned home today. 3 schoolgirls were crushed to death under the wheels of a train at Bijaypur rail crossing in Kumilla. Bangladesh and UAE have signed 4 memorandum of understanding to boost cooperation between 2 countries. You're up to date with the top stories so far in your Bangla City SATV News, and to know the latest in SATV News, visit www.satv.tv. Stay with us.